Let's say this strap is your body laid back on a bench. This is your head and these are your feet. If you push in this direction with your legs, your body will slide up the bench. And if you push in this direction with your upper body, your body will slide down the bench. But if you push in both directions at the same time, that inwards pressure creates this arch in your back. And it's that inwards pressure that gives you a lot of stability to help you lift as much weight as possible. The mistake a lot of people make is they see these flexible and strong powerlifters with these humongous arches and think to themselves, wow, that's what I need to do. So they lay back on a bench and they put themselves into these humongous arches without creating that pressure. So their legs and upper body remain really loose and floppy. And loose and floppy is not going to help you lift as much weight as possible. Now, you don't have to create a humongous arch. That's not the goal. The goal is to create as much pressure as you can in both directions and let your flexibility and your comfort dictate how much of an arch you actually create. Hopefully that helps you guys understand a little bit more about bench press arches. We are going to now get stuck into today's upper body workout. So we are starting out with the underhand grip bench press. We're going to go underhand press, going to do a little bit of other chest work and some back work and some arms as well. We might squeeze in some forearms as well. We'll see how we're going for time. But as always, I'm trying to work as efficiently and as quickly as possible. So quick reminder for your arching, set your feet up on the ground. Once they're set, they don't move. Lay underneath the bar and slide back so you can set your grip up. For me, it's around here for underhand grip. And then I'm going to slide back in this direction and push with my legs whilst I push that way with my hands to create that arching pressure. And once I'm ready, lift that bar out and we're good to go. With your foot placement, the further you bring your feet back, the more of an arch you end up creating. So normally I go around here, but just for you guys, while I'm warming up, I bring my feet back an extra foot width to around here, and you're going to see how much more of an arch that creates in my body. I can get there, but it's not the most comfortable, and I don't like doing it. Although if I was actually trying to power lift as much weight as I physically could, I would be probably doing this kind of position here. So, same setup, slide back. Oh, it's uncomfortable. And this isn't even a full arch. This is maybe a half arch for me. If I really wanted to, I could probably squeeze back even more and lift even higher. Some federations of powerlifting don't let your heels lift off the ground, but I'm doing it because some of them do. The same thing applies no matter where my feet are. I'm thinking about pushing my body in that direction whilst my upper body stays fixed to the pad. And when I lift off, or when I get set up, I'm pushing my upper body, so my body goes this way. Very uncomfortable. So I personally don't do that much of an arch, but you might like to. Completely up to you. The other important thing that I'm still really working on all my pressing is maintaining that leg pressure whilst I'm going through the bench press. It's very easy to, once you've unracked the bar, just forget about your legs and relax them, but you've still got to maintain that exact same pressure kicking outwards and pushing your body backwards. And of course, your upper back being stuck to the ground, you're not going to move anywhere. That gives you that rigidity through the entire set. All right, first set. I would like 6 reps. I'd love to get 8, and I have gotten 8 before, although I do feel like it takes me maybe a set to sort of acclimate to the weight before I can really send it. But I won't really tell until I can actually unrack it and then see how it feels. So here we go. That was tough. 6 reps. I wouldn't have been comfortable going for the 7th, not my own. I don't know if you guys saw or could tell, I lifted my hips a little bit on that last rep. My whole body just twisted a little bit. It happens. It happens. When you approach that volitional failure of the muscle, it is impossible to maintain perfect technique all the way through. I think a lot of people get caught up saying, I've got to always keep perfect technique all the time. And you shouldn't discard technique altogether. But at the same time, we need to get comfortable with accepting deviations in technique. And also, what might blow your mind is the fact that no one rep is ever performed the exact same way. Okay, even out of my very first warm-up sets that you guys saw, very easy, use good technique there and it looked fine, it looked consistent. I guarantee if you were to hyper-analyze it, slow-mo, X-ray screen it, there would be deviations in technique. There would be small strays in how the bar moves. And even if you were to go super deep, in the way that my brain shoots out the nerve impulse to my muscles to recruit different muscle fibers, that will be different every single repetition. All right, so I've changed my mind. As the rest period went on, I felt like I was losing a little bit of confidence in my ability to do the exact same weight again and get another 6 as a minimum. So instead of dropping back to like 4 or 3 reps and knowing that I'm already fatigued, I thought, you know what, let's go to 75 and try to get some more reps out. Because there's no point in pushing for the weight just because. You can get just as much stimulus from lighter weights as heavier weights. And even then, this is still probably going to feel super heavy, but it's only 5 kilos. But let's see what we can get now. Good call. Good call. So when I'm dumbbell pressing, I'm not just thinking about pressing straight up and down, but I really try to open up and slightly at the bottom here, come out to really increase that stretch I feel on my chest, and then press up. So I come down and very subtle, drifting outwards horizontally. I don't do it as 2 separate movements of down and then out. That's just to show you guys what I mean. But actually, I'm pulling out as I come down and then do a slight converging in as I press up. Oh. 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 You get such a good stretch through the pecs by doing it that way. You can do it the regular way as well, you know. You do you. Two moves for chest, and now I'm going to do 2 moves for back and then finish up with arms. So what I am doing with these upper body days is each week I alternate between doing chest first or back first. So today it was my pressing stuff first. Next week when I do this workout again, I'll do these back exercises first. And then arms will usually remain last, although there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing arms first as well if you wanted to. If that's something you wanted to work on, which I probably should do because my arm size and strength is probably the biggest weakness of mine because I just neglect them. I've always done them, not always, but 90% of the time I do them last when I'm tired, and that also means a lot of the time I end up skipping them. But, I mean, there are people out there who don't even train arms because they just choose not to. And if we're looking at this from a real bang for your buck perspective of me trying to save time, if I had to skip something, it makes the most sense to skip arms as opposed to skipping some of these bigger compound exercises that still will hit arms indirectly. So starting out today on my absolute favorite back machine, although, I don't know if you see over there on the left, I got a new machine literally yesterday. Two new back machines. So it might be replaced as my favorite. I'm not going to get rid of this one, but I might have a new favorite. It was so tempting to switch this out with one of the new machines, but I've got to show myself some restraint, stick to the plan, and finish off this training block using the same machine all the way through. Although I might be able to switch this different pull down in on my full body day because I'm a bit more lax there. We'll see. So until then, you guys have to wait for the big reveal of what these two new machines are. Super excited about them. They're old machines, so it's new to me, but it's old stock from the late 90s. Very hard to come by machines. Absolutely fantastic for training your back. But this is great too. What makes this machine so great is the way that these weight plates can get stacked on. You can see there's 1, 2, and then there's a third weight peg down there as well, where you can put the weights onto. You can see when I do this next warm-up set, what is going on as I go through the exercise. So if you think about where are most rowing exercises with dumbbells or barbells or cables hardest, it's right here in the contraction when you've pulled everything back towards your chest. The difference with this machine is because of how the weights pivot through the range of motion, the hardest position isn't back here, it's at the start point, and because of how I've loaded things, it's from the start to around the midpoint. At the very back here, there is a noticeable drop-off in the amount of resistance, and it gets a lot easier. Is that better or worse? I don't really know. It's just different, and it's a way to add in a little bit of variety to your training. And there is some very new and exciting research now showing that the lengthened position, or this stretch, or this first half of the range of motion, might be the most anabolic and productive range of motion to be in to grow muscle tissue and build strength, and of course build range of motion as well. So other than that, I just like the machine. It's a very comfortable machine. Handles are great. Bracing support is great. Great piece. It was 4 reps, maybe 5, say 4.5 reps, which is probably the bottom floor that I would go to on something like this, just for the practicality of it. I think a lot of people don't do like truly heavy max rows and pull downs or pull ups. We're doing like doubles or triples, same way you might do on a bench or a squat or a deadlift. And there's a lot of benefits to doing that from a motor recruitment perspective and overall strength perspective. But practically speaking, me just lifting off that 4-5 rep max was a fucking mission. And if I went even heavier for like a 3 rep max, it's just, practically speaking, it's not gonna happen. So I would rather do something like maybe a chin up for that kind of maximal loading. Or just stick to deadlifts for the erectors, but you don't get that same back retraction. I don't know if there's actually much to say about lat pull downs. It's a lat pull down. You sit down, pull down, the end. Good chat. Hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. If there's any other questions you guys do have, just drop them in and maybe we'll mix it up for the next video. Who knows? I'll tell you what though, from a completely selfish perspective, I've found these videos really enjoyable to make, and I've really loved this whole creation process. One thing, it's very simple to do, just bring my tripod along and chat to you guys on the camera. But I also find that a good change of pace from the scripted, overly produced, super fast-paced content that's just flooding social medias these days, whether it's here on YouTube or it's TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. You can't escape the short-form stuff. And I'm not really one to be doing a lot of podcasts personally, so I guess this is like the Eugene Teo podcast in a way, where you get to do super long-form stuff that's a lot more casual, as opposed to the other stuff that I do, which I still enjoy doing. I'm still going to do a lot of those videos, but it's a little bit different, you know? So whether or not you like it, I'm probably still going to keep making these videos, but I really do hope you do enjoy it. So as I said, arm training is a very, very low priority for me, but I still think it's kind of important to train the muscles. But I'm only doing 2 sets of biceps on the preachers here, and 2 sets of triceps, which I'll show you guys in a sec. But this is probably the only exercise I would do if I could only do one, just because of how it overloads that stretch position out here, and how it's very stable. So I'm really emphasizing this lockout position here with a pause. Okay, gotta focus. Oh. I would absolutely get more results and have bigger arms if I did more than just 1 exercise a week and 2 sets for arms. Although, you know what? I remember reading this book, The Courage to Be Disliked. Really, really good book on philosophy. I would highly recommend you read that. One of my favorite books. And one of the passages in that book is all about the stories that we tell ourselves. Like, oh, I would be able to get that promotion if I only had this qualification. Or I would be able to grow my arms if I only did 12 sets a week instead of just 2 sets. And I think the example they used in the book was this girl was saying, oh, if only I didn't blush, then I'd have the confidence to be able to go talk to that guy. And these are the kinds of stories that we all tell ourselves in every different scenario you can think of. But in this book, they kind of flipped that story on its head. And they were saying, well, maybe you've created this scenario as a way to protect yourself from having to put yourself out there and risk failing, you know? Maybe the reason I only give myself 2 sets and say, oh, if only I did 12 sets, then I'd have bigger arms, was because if I actually did 12 sets and I didn't grow bigger arms, well, when I look like an idiot, I just set myself up for failure. I mean, I could actually grow arms from that, but it is maybe just as likely that I won't grow arms. So maybe this is a really big coming to Jesus talk I need to have with myself about saying, you know what, Eugene, do the 12 sets, commit to it. Push yourself harder and actually try to grow some arms, or at least fail trying, you know? At the very least, in training arms, push as hard as you can in those sets. That's one thing we can all agree on. I don't know where this came from, this handle, but a few months ago I had a lot of athletes in here doing some photo shoots and video shoots for a commercial, and one of them left this behind. It's just like a long rope, I guess. It's got these nice handles and this nice knuckle guard thing, I guess. It's really comfy, and nice squishy, spongy handles as well. Always makes us think of John Meadows, because he would always say how much he loved the spongy grips whenever he was doing any push down work in rows. He'd always try to seek it out. And you know, most companies, when they make handles, they're that very just hard, rigid plastic or grippy material. But whenever you can find something that's got a little bit of cushioning in it, you just love that. Whenever you can, using some kind of a long setup as opposed to a short rope is much better for your triceps, because you can get that much more range of motion past your body here. Because normally if you had a short rope, you might get stuck, say, here, because the rope isn't as long to let you wrap around your body like so. So always try to do that. I do wish this cable stack went a little bit higher, because you can see here, cable bottoms out. So I've actually got to squat down a little bit to make sure that I can get that range of motion. Oh.